At this time, we're going to turn it over to Cindy.
Good morning, everyone. I am Cindy Heinzman, and I am a realtor at Galloway, Murray & Sheets Real Estate in Cass County. If we haven't met, it's nice to meet you, and good morning. We'd really like to thank you for joining us. Our goal is to keep you informed with the most current information that's available to us so that you'll have what you need to operate your business. And today, that's what we're going to do. And we'll get right to it. We have with us this morning Sherry Smith, co-owner of True Realty and vice chair of Indiana Regional MLS, and she's got a lot of information to unpack for us. Thank you for joining us, Sherry.
Good morning, everybody. So I want to jump right in, and there have been a lot of changes with IRMLS. There were quite a few changes for MLS rules and regs that came down from NAR last fall that have been implemented. And I would always encourage everyone to review those rules and regulations on a yearly basis. And first, I'm going to go over the timeline for entering listings into an MLS, just to kind of refresh everybody. I'm going to wait for, there we go, Stephanie's screen to populate real quick. And if Stephanie, if you could just start, there you go. Perfect. So as you can see on the screen here, the MLS rules and regulations, they can be found in Paragon. On the homepage of Paragon at the top, you can see where it says MLS documents is circled in red. That's where you can find the MLS documents. And then once you click on that, it opens up a new window, and you can see we have circled on the left-hand side the IRMLS rules and regs. That's where you're going to find the current rules and regulations in there. And then also there's a folder for RACI. Each of the associations have their own folder, and you can also check out items in the RACI folder. To go over, I forget what the next slide is, Stephanie, but I'm just going to, there we go. It's also on the RACI website, so raci.org. If you click on the MLS login button, then it takes you to this new MLS page. And there's quite a few information on this page. It has the MLS rules and compliance information. You can also get to the IRMLS rules and regs from this page. So let me go over timelines real quick, since I've talked about that a couple times. From the time that your sellers, all of your sellers, all the parties to the listing agreement, not the managing broker, but from the time that the sellers sign the listing agreement, you have 3 calendar days to enter that into the MLS, into Paragon. If you do any public marketing, then you have 1 business day to enter that listing into Paragon. Now, this is for residential listings. Commercial, residential for rent, commercial for rent, farm and home, all of those only have the 3 calendar day rule, okay? The clear cooperation policy of 1 calendar day from the time that you market the property, public marketing, that only applies to residential, okay? Residential for sale. Let's also talk about status changes. Once the property goes under contract, you have 1 calendar day to change the status of that property. And by changing the status, you have some options. You have all the contingency options. You have the contingent first right. You have contingent sudden death. You have contingent accepting backup, contingent other, contingent third party approval. And then you also have pending. So we have to advertise a clear picture of the status of the property. And that's why we have the rule within 1 calendar day of the status changing, you must change that status in the Paragon system, in the MLS. Now let's talk about when you close out a file. When after a closing is considered when the file is funded. Okay, when the title company issues the checks, it's funded. Not when you pick up your check. If you go 2 days later and pick up your check, it's when the title company issues the check. Then it's funded. It is closed. It's a closed transaction at that point. You have 48 hours, 2 calendar days to enter that sold information into the system. Okay. I kind of wanted to go over those timelines because timeline violations are the #1 violation, not only in RACI, but in IRMLS. Okay. All of those timelines are found in the IRMLS rules and regulations. Now let's talk about listed coming soon. We had quite a bit of changes on this. IRMLS was able to get the rules behind the listed coming soon status changed. Originally, you were not allowed to do any advertising at all, no marketing. We did get that changed. And so now if the property is listed, you have an active listing agreement, but it's not able to be shown for any reason, then you are to enter it into the listed coming soon status. It can remain in that listed coming soon status for up to 21 days. At the end of 21 days, it automatically transfers to an active status. If at that 21 days you are not ready for the property to be shown, then you must move the status to some form of off-market status, whether that is temporary off-market or withdrawn or canceled or whatever the status of the contract is. Okay. For a property to be in active status, it must be available to be shown. That is part of the active status rule. So if your property is not available to be shown, it needs to be in a different status. You cannot go into active status and then to listed coming soon. Once you go into active, you're not able to move that back into listed coming soon. It then would have to go into an off-market status. Listed coming soon properties are now syndicated through IDX feeds. So you may see those on the public websites, realtor.com, any other HomeSnap, all of those websites. They are syndicated through the IDX feeds. They also are part of the Collab Center, and you can email and your clients can get the notifications that the property is listed coming soon. One last change on the listed coming soon status is days on market. Because you are actively marketing the property and it is being syndicated in that listed coming soon status, the days on market do not reset to 0 when it changes to active status. Because you have been marketing the property. It is out there for public. Just because a property is in listed coming soon status, that means it's not available to be shown, but your seller may be willing to accept an offer, a sight unseen offer, okay? Please note, please let your agents know if a property is in listed coming soon, it cannot be shown by anyone. Can't be shown by themselves, can't be shown by anybody else in the office, any other agent within the MLS, and the seller shouldn't be showing it either, because that is giving an unfair advantage and that is not advertising the true picture of the property. Okay. Before I move on, any questions regarding MLS rules and regs, listed coming soon, and the statuses? And I can't see anybody, so if you have any questions, unmute and shout out.
So Sherry, I will say, one of the interesting things about, you mentioned the collab center was you could now have it part of that. It used to be specifically disallowed. So if you have current collab saves, you would need to go back and put that into that criteria, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Originally, we had security on the status to where listed coming soon properties wouldn't be syndicated out through your collab center to your clients. That security has been removed. So if you have clients that have been in your collab center for more than a couple months, then you need to go back in and recheck that listed coming soon button so that those get pushed out in their emails. I'm reading a private message here really quick. If there's a Facebook posting for a coming soon with no address or pictures, my answer to that is that as long as that listing is entered into Paragon within 1 business day, there wouldn't be any MLS rule violation for that particular Facebook posting. There could be other situations that it would be a license law or a professional standards if there were other situations that went along with that. But just know that if you post a property on social media, it must be in the MLS within 1 business day of that posting, okay? Or 3 calendar days. So if you're posting it on the 3rd calendar day in social media, you don't have an additional day. It has to be in that day because you're already at your maximum day, okay? Any other questions? Okay. Let's move on to fair housing. If you haven't completed the Fair Haven simulation or your agents haven't completed Fair Haven simulation, it's a simulation that NAR put on. It's on the NAR website. And it takes about an hour to go through, and it's multiple situational topics. And when you're going through the simulation, you get to pick one route or the other. And depending on what you pick, it scores you on your awareness of fair housing. It's an excellent simulation. If you haven't done it, I suggest everybody to do the Fair Housing or Fair Haven simulation. I think it's fairhaven.realtor is the web address for that. Along with that, we're going to talk about love letters. As you know, when IAR revised our contracts this year, they added into the listing agreement and the buyer exclusive agency agreement, they added a section about love letters. And I'm gonna go to that really quick and just read to you what it says. Let me pull that up. It's under the fair housing section. It's on page 5 of 6 of the residential improved listing agreement, which is section L, just for reference if you want to go and look at that. It says the parties acknowledge that fair housing prohibits discrimination in housing because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, and handicap. Due to fair housing risks, broker will not prepare, review, or submit personal information letters, including photographs from buyer to seller. The National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics also prohibits realtors from discriminating on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. It is in those listing agreements that you will not disseminate love letters. It could be a fair housing violation with very stiff penalties if you disseminate a love letter and it was proven that that particular person's offer wasn't accepted based on a protected class. Okay, it's a very slippery slope. So your listing agreement says you won't do it, so you shouldn't do it. Okay. Real estate is at the forefront of the eyes of the Department of Justice. HUD, they are scrutinizing and looking at every bit of our processes. And we just need to be very vigilant in following all of the rules and the laws. IAR also put out a focus on legal affairs regarding love letters, March of 2021. And I believe they've also put out a video on their YouTube channel regarding that. So you can reference those items also. Any questions regarding love letters? And if you don't have your chat open, Stephanie posted that the Fairhaven simulation link will be in tomorrow's monthly resource training email that goes out to all membership. Okay. If there aren't any other questions regarding love letters, again, unmute yourself and shout out because I can't see everybody. So. Okay, we're going to move on to MLS Connect. That's been a hot topic here in last month in February, Realist and CRS. So MLS Connect, IRMLS worked very diligently in the month of February to give a little bit of for MLS Connect, to give a little bit of backstory. So way back in the day, zip forms was a benefit of IAR. Then just a few years ago, NAR took that over and had a contract with Lone Wolf, also known as zip forms, for their platform to be a member benefit. Then last fall, NAR made the announcement that it was no longer going to be a member benefit through the National Association. So IAR realized, and they know that that's a very large platform. We use it on a daily basis. It helps them disseminate our standardized forms in a standardized fashion, basically. So IAR went back to Lone Wolf to renegotiate their contract, to add Zip Forms Plus back into the contract. And when they did that, the IAR Board of Directors had a discussion that they really wanted to step out of the MLS business, that they didn't feel that that was their lane to be in. And for the past few years, MLS Connect was part of the IAR contract that they had with Lone Wolf. It was an IRMLS benefit, but it was a portion of the IAR contract with Lone Wolf. When IAR made the decision not to be in the MLS business at all, they didn't want that in their lane at all. They negotiated the MLS Connect out of their contract. Unfortunately, they did not disseminate that information to the MLSs throughout the state. So we were pretty much blindsided February 1st when we got the notification that MLS Connect wasn't renewing. And that was just through the pop-ups on our screens. We did a lot of negotiating, and we did get MLS Connect renewed as of Monday, February the 28th. So if you or any of your agents are still getting that pop-up that something needs renewed, they need to go look at their products tab within Zip Forms and see if their MLS Connect was renewed. Stephanie's showing you a screen share right now. And that MLS Connect piece should show June 29th of 2022. Okay, you might be a scroll down on your screen, Stephanie.
I guess I mostly target people mostly listening.
Yeah.
Basically,
It's June 30th of 2022. So yes, June 30th of 2022 is the deadline. MLS Connect will go away. Our MLS has negotiated a new platform for that MLS Connect. It will still be through Zip Forms. And that new platform is called CRS MLS Connect for Paragon. So who's ever not on mute? Can you make sure you're on mute, please? So to go along with that CRS, everybody's like, what's CRS? That's a designation. Yes, CRS is a designation, but it's also the name of a tax data company that is integrated with Paragon. So currently our tax data integration is with Realist, okay? Realist was also an IAR benefit, okay? We received Realist through IAR, and that was a contract that IAR had with Realist for statewide. And again, when IAR decided not to be in the MLS business, they have terminated their Realist contract. It will terminate the end of June. And so when we found this out at IRMLS, we reviewed a couple different programs. There's Remind Pro, there's CRS Tax Data, and I'm sure there's a couple others out there. But CRS is already integrated with Paragon. And it is a very robust website. It is amazing the information you can get out of CRS. It's very similar to Realist as far as you can see who owns the property, if they have mortgages on the property. You can see school information, you can see crime information. There's tons of different overlays that you can gain from Realist and from CRS. What we liked about CRS are two things. Realist only pulled tax data information a couple times a year at the most. Realist pulls at least monthly, if not even more often. So, or I'm sorry, CRS pulls monthly, if not even more often. And so the information is more up to date. It's a more user-friendly website. And it will be integrated just like Realist is. So on the screen that you're seeing right now, you can get to Realist either from the tax tab at the top of your Paragon page, or even if you are in an agent full detail view, the little red icon there above the picture, that is the Realist icon. And when you click that, it takes you to the Realist website and pulls the information. That little icon will be replaced with a CRS icon, and it will do the same thing. It will take you to the CRS website. So CRS, we are anticipating, we are very hopeful that the CRS platform will be integrated in May. And we're really hoping that we have that 1 month overlay so that people can get used to the new data package with CRS and everything that it has available. But Realist will go away the end of June. Okay. Another good thing with CRS is that we have negotiated in that CRS will be our new MLS Connect, okay, within Zip Forms. And it'll be a two-way data share. So you can be in your Zip Forms like you are now and click on the MLS Connect button, and it'll pull the listing information into your transaction in Zip Forms. Or you can also be in your Zip Forms. Let's say you completed the data input sheets within Zip Forms. You can then export that information out of Zip Forms into Paragon. So it's a two-way transfer. You can import into Zip Forms, and you can also export out of Zip Forms via CRS into the MLS. Okay. Bonnie, I'll get right back to your question in just a moment. Any questions regarding CRS and the future of MLS Connect? Okay. Bonnie has asked, what do we do if our MLS Connect shows expired? You're going to go to your product, your cart, and you're going to add that product to your cart. The product price should show 0. And you're going to need to check out just like you would if you were going to enter a credit card. It doesn't ask you to enter credit card information, but you need to go through the normal checkout process. Okay.
Ultimately, if there are any further questions or issues with it, they need to contact Lone Wolf directly, correct?
Correct. Yes. If any of your other products are showing expired, you need to contact Lone Wolf directly. There was a RACI email sent out on Monday with that contact information. Also, Zip Form Plus is what is a member benefit to us. Lone Wolf also has another product called Zip Form Basic or Zip Form Desktop that's like $59.95 a year. You only need that desktop version if you're not using a website version. Way back in the day, when I first started selling real estate back in 2008, we had Zip Form Desktop at that time. It has expanded, and we no longer use that. We use Zip Form Plus, which is a website, rather than just all the data being on your personal computer. Okay. So Stephanie's showing the Zip Form Standard Edition, $59.95. You do not want that unless you don't want to use a website for your forms. Okay. Any other questions regarding Zip Forms MLS Connect? Okay. The last thing on my list is Central Lock. Two things on that. Make sure that your agency is assigning each lockbox to a listing. In order to be able to give out one-day codes, that lockbox has to be assigned to a listing. And that can be done through the listing maintenance tab in Paragon, or you can log in directly to Central Lock's website and assign it to the property within the Central Lock website, either way. And make sure that you're removing them once you take it off the property also. That just helps for agencies to be able, number one, to track where the lockboxes are, because I'm sure our lockbox audit is coming soon. It's that time of year. But also for you to be able to assign one-day codes to the property. Most of you have heard, if you are a MyBOR secondary member, MyBOR member, or MyBOR MLS only member, that MyBor is no longer using Central Lock. They have switched to Master Lock for their lock boxes. So MyBor members no longer have Central Lock access. So if a MyBor member is showing one of our properties, they're going to need a 1-day code. Okay, unless they are a secondary member to one of the IRMLS associations that use Central Lock. Okay. Also, MyBor is the majority of their agents are no longer using showing time. They have switched over to a Broker Bay product, which is a new showing service that's out there. And if they have the showing time app, I'm not sure if that will still work for them to schedule showings. So you may have to enter those showings yourself. If you are showing a property listed by a MyBor agent, they have their Broker Bay product. They do have a phone number where you can call and schedule, just like they used to have with centralized showing and showing time. Or if you are a MyBor member in some fashion, you can schedule the showing via the Broker Bay platform. So it's kind of muddied those waters back up. There was such a nice transition for our bordering agents that were in both markets. So we're just going to have to work through those pain points once again. Excuse me. I had a suggestion. Suggestions on 1-day codes for a photographer when you have a listing in partial and don't have photos to load to make the listing active. So if I'm correct, Amy Pate, I believe that managing brokers can set contractor codes on Central Lock. I'm not sure if those contractor codes work without it being assigned to a property. But Tanya, to your question, if you have a lockbox, a central lockbox on a property that's not in the MLS, if you have an active listing agreement, then that can go into temporary off market or listed coming soon. If you don't have an active listing agreement, then either you're going to have access in another fashion. But the central lockbox won't work unless the 1-day codes won't work unless it's assigned to a property. So, any other questions on Central Lock? All right. Well, always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding the MLS. I'd be happy to help answer those. And I'm going to turn it over to Amy Pate.
There we go. So first I want to thank Sherry for everything she does for us on behalf of IRMLS. She really puts a lot of time and detail into that role. And as Cindy mentioned when she introduced Sherry, she's actually now vice chair for that entity. So it's great to have her voice and that level of detail at that level. So thank you, Sherry. I'm going to cover a couple different items. First and foremost, the growth zone. So One moment, she's trying to share my.
There we go.
Okay. So GrowZone is our new association management system. And it allows us to actually manage all of you guys' contact information and your relationships with who's in your company. You can actually, you'll be able to get in and sign up for events when we have that too. So it actually does a lot of things for us. Also, when you used to change an email address, we would have to enter it into lots of different systems. And this allows us to basically across multiple platforms, do it through that management system, and it handles that. So creates a lot less opportunity for any errors. For ease of use, you can see that's a picture of our Clarity dashboard, and you see that little RC that she's got the arrow around and pointing to. That is just a really easy way of getting to that GrowZone system, which we call the RACI Resource Center. So GrowZone happens to be like what the actual product is on the background, but we refer to it as the RACI Resource Center. So you can log in via the dashboard. You can also get to it through our raci.org. And we actually, most of us have a link on the bottom of our email that allows you to log in that way as well. But once you're in, so every single person, managing broker, agent, everyone has access to a resource center. Probably the biggest difference or change that we have implemented in using this new system is each person has their membership. So their realtor membership, but also their MLS basically membership, if you will. And so what this allows for is for individuals to pay their own MLS bill. Everyone is a managing broker, is a independent agent, independent broker. So if you as a managing broker want your individual agents to pay their own MLS fee on a monthly basis, they can do so through this system. They can also request for that bill to be quarterly or semi-annual. Those have to be done at those different iterations of, so the next time would be, at the next quarter, for example.
Which is April 1.
Yeah, which is April 1. So if anyone wants to change to quarterly, let us know now and we can do that. But the billing aspect going through this management system allows for people to pay by credit card. Previously, a lot of people were asking us to handle credit card payments, and we didn't have a solid way to do that was also in compliance with proper handling of credit card information. So even though we were very careful at that time, a lot of people were wanting to pay their bills in this way. So as a managing broker, you can say, hey, agents, I want you to each pay your own bills, or you can also pay the bill yourself. So for example, once you're in the resource center and you go to make a payment, you would be able to see all of the billings that are available. If you'll notice, the second line shows a $53 with a little clock on it. That tells me that person within the firm has auto pay set up. So this system does set up is available for auto pay. You can also just store payment profiles if you want. So, and not set up auto pay. So there's a lot of capabilities within the system. But as a managing broker, you can also see everyone in your firm, whether they've paid or not paid. If you go back to the previous screen, So, so on this example, when you look through there, you can see each individual, you can see one of the amounts has a due date of 1/26. So we know that that person has someone in their firm that has an amount that was due previously. So even though we can now have individual agents pay their own bill, ultimately the payment policy has not changed. So we process billing and send out invoices on the first of the month. Their invoices are due on the 25th. And if any account gets to be more than 31 days past due, has any amount in their account 31 or more days past due, then the firm, in regards to tech fees, would be suspended for non-payment. So if you are allowing your agents to pay, that's great, but know that you can always log in to the system and see, is there anyone that's getting behind, so that you can help push that along. Ultimately, the ramifications go back to that managing broker and the whole firm. So for an example, if we bill in January and an agent, the bill was due at the 25th, agent didn't pay, we bill February, there's a late fee on January now, we bill February, agent doesn't pay. When we go to do the next billing in March, that's when the ramification would come into play. FYI, I never want to turn off anyone for non-payment. So we really try to make sure that people know that something is getting to be in that time frame, so that they can make the appropriate communications or pay the bill themselves. But just know that you can always see that as managing broker. And by the way, individual agents can only see their own stuff. So it's you guys as managing broker that can see more information. So if you go to the next. It's from this area, you can, if you as managing broker want to pay for everyone, you can do so from this screen. You notice the checkbox in display related contacts invoices. So if you say, well, I think there's things due, but I'm not seeing them from that are other people's, make sure that checkbox is checked, and you can see any bills that are within your own firm. And again, you as managing broker are the only ones that would see that information. From here,
It's a scroll.
okay. From here, you can also set up credit card payment. If you are wanting to make a credit card payment for your whole company, we can help you do that. The system is really designed for individuals to set up auto pay for their own. If you're wanting to make a one-time payment, you can do so this way. If you're wanting to set up auto pay for an entire firm, get with us and we can help you through that. We do accept checks and all that still, but just know that, you know, if you're not sending a check until the day before it's due, your agents are probably going to get some sort of communication saying that there's something due. So my suggestion is communicate within your agency what the expectation is, whether it is for them to pay their own or that you will be. And so there's a full understanding. With 500 and some agents, it's difficult for us to keep track of who's doing what and how and what the expectations are. The system allows us to do a lot of different things, but you guys internally just need to communicate what the expectation is internally. Any questions about that so far? If you're wanting to set up auto pay, you can see that this person did have some payment profiles on that did not have auto pay set up. And the auto pay tab is where you would go to actually select. In this case, it would be the Realtor MLS. We don't want to do auto pay for your actual membership dues, which are once a year, but the Realtor MLS, you could select that on auto pay and whatever payment profile. The way auto pay works is, again, going back to the example of sending out the invoice on the 1st of the month. It's not due until the 25th, but if you have auto pay set up, it's going to process that automatic payment on the 10th. And if you already have a bill out there and you're wanting to set up auto pay, you would first need to pay the current invoice because it was not triggered for auto pay, and then set up auto pay for any reoccurring MLS fees moving forward. Any questions so far?
Amy, there's a question in the chat.
Okay, let me look down here. So yes, Rachel had asked if one member in the firm does not pay, the whole firm will ultimately get suspended. So yes, that is the potential. So my suggestion is, if you're wanting your agents to pay, which is a great way of you guys not having to chase the $53 around every month, then my suggestion is to get into your resource center, mid-month, 20th of the month, you can decide and look, okay, I've got 3 people that still haven't paid, communicate with them and, have them go in and pay it, or communicate with us that they've sent a check, something to that effect. And again, if they want to set up auto pay, we can always help them do that. Or if they're not communicating with you and you're like, I don't want this to affect the entire company, you can pay it yourself as managing broker as well. So it's really a matter of you keeping an eye on your account. I will say I've never, ever turned off a company without communicating with a broker. I don't ever want that to be a surprise. So that is not the intention at all, but it really is about communicating with us and making sure that you're just keeping an eye on your account. Does that answer that question? And anyone's welcome to speak as well. Under billing history, you can also see, when something's been paid, how much was paid, and individually as the agents, when they go to their billing history, it's a great way for them to see for taxes. A lot of times we have people call us about this time of year, how much did I pay last year, and all these different things. So this system really allows them to track their expenses over the year and be able to get a record of that if they need to as well. And then you as managing broker can also see that information for everyone in your firm. So one of the nice things about tying that MLS bill to a person, whether you internally are paying for it or they're paying for it, it was always such a dance when people transferred from one firm to another. It's like, who paid their MLS? And people would ask us, I'm like, I don't know internally where people are with paying people back and what's been paid. It was so hard. So now with this being tied to the person, when a person transfers from one company to another, we make that transfer. We don't have to deal with credits or, double billing the next person and all that. So it really streamlines that process with that bill, with that invoice being tied specifically to the member agent as opposed to at the firm level. So, okay, any other questions about that? So eventually we'll be having, like I mentioned, there'll be a place where you can see directories of all the affiliates. You'll be able to register for events and pay for events, get information. So we're really looking forward to building on the product and being basically a repository for not only invoices, which is what's affecting you the most right now, but also all of your resources that you get from RACI and information. So, okay. If there are no other questions about Growth Zone or the RACI Resource Center, I do want to make a couple mentions about some things at the state level. So IPLA, Indiana Professional Licensing, and the Indiana Real Estate Commission, apparently they are changing the managing broker approval process for new licenses. So apparently the managing broker will once again be required to actually sign to accept a new license. This change is expected in the next 60 days or so. So my recommendation is if you're onboarding a new agent, whether it be a new licensee or a transfer, that you just contact IPLA and make sure you have a full understanding of the process and what all they are needing. So when you log into their website, there is actually a message on the website that says that they're taking 4 to 6 weeks to process information. With the real estate commission, it really is closer to 1 or 2. But I know in past years, we're used to, sending something down and, within a day or two, everything's done. And I'm not sure if it's how much of it is tied to staffing, but it really is taking a longer time for IPLA to process changes, whether it's moving, someone in or out, or just, making any type of change. So make sure that you're giving yourselves a little bit of cushion. And essentially, if they don't have all the information they need, they generally don't contact you. So if it's been a little while and nothing's happening, you log into the state and it doesn't appear that anything's in process, my suggestion is that you can call them directly and check on that, but just know that it is taking longer than what we are accustomed to in the past. Internally, so IPLA, the Real Estate Commission, does not let us know when anyone has associated or disassociated with your firm. So, a lot of times we'll, especially when the invoices go out, someone will call and say, oh, they're not here anymore. But no one had ever notified us. So it really is on you guys to let us know when someone is associating or disassociating with the firm, because the invoices will not stop until we actually know they're gone and can process that termination. And we only process the termination once it's reflected on Indiana Professional Licensing site. So if you're wanting something done by the end of the month, you got to, back that up a little bit to make sure you're giving enough time for that change to be reflected. Additionally, once you're associated with a new licensee or transfer, you need to let us know, and for that person to make application within the 15 days. So again, going back to IPLA does not let us know that someone's associated with your license. So you need to proactively reach out, let us know that you've got someone coming on. We can't process it until they actually show, but if you know someone's coming on, go ahead and give us a heads up. When we send out a membership information packet, we'll CC you so that when they have questions, they're welcome to ask you. They can go ahead and get started on Paragon Academy and those types of things, because that doesn't require the membership to actually accomplish that. So just keep us in the loop when people are coming and going, and we'll try to help you onboard those people effectively. One other thing I wanted to mention is that so the Realtor trademark, that is a membership trademark. And that trademark name should not be used in your legal name. They are apparently starting to look on the state level at licenses that are using the Realtor name in a legal name. So think of it as it's a membership term that's owned by NAR, and it is a descriptor for you. So you can use it in that way, but you do not legally own that name. And so it should not be a part of any legal documents. So will be sending you a link along with this recording to all of you, and also for those who were not able to be on. But that link within that email will include a link to the trademarks. So there are pretty specific guidelines on how you use it in a email address correctly and incorrectly. There's a lot of description. So just make sure you're using the membership mark appropriately. And if you have any questions, NAR is the best resource for that. But I would first look at this trademark publication that I'm going to be attaching to it. And it's pretty self-explanatory. But if currently you have the Realtor name in your legal entity name at IPLA or Secretary of State, you really probably need to look at getting that changed proactively, because I know that they are taking a look at that. And that is all I have, unless you guys have any other questions, comments. Okay, well, I'm gonna turn it back over to your fearless leader, Miss Cindy.
Well, thanks for joining us, anyone. As Amy said, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the RACI office. If you've got questions for Sherry, she left the door open for you to contact her directly. And we really thank you for joining us. And I hope this was informational to you. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.